what is up, everybody? My name is Chad, and this week, welcome to the first installment of what hopefully is going to be an ongoing series, not a weekly series, but some sort of middle ground between monthly and bi-monthly of me reviewing Japanese learning tools, websites, textbooks, any really sort of learning resource. And if you can't tell by the wall behind me, I actually really enjoy Japanese. I like the language, I like studying it, I like the people, I like the culture, and I've gone through all sorts of different Japanese YouTubers, haven't found any sort of, consistent viewpoint of language learning material. And by that, I mean basically one dude who goes through every possible language learning resource and then reviews them all. Most people take what they've already done, and whether they've liked it, they give it a thumbs up, or if they don't like it, they give it a thumbs down, but they don't go and explore other options or say, oh, this one was better than the one that I used. I wish I would have had this, or blah, blah, blah. I want to go through as much as I possibly can. All 5 textbooks I used, all the textbooks I haven't used, different websites, different resources. I get hit up almost daily by new language learning apps and web developers that want me to shout out their stuff, and I always go on there and I'm always usually pretty disappointed. So I wanted to do just a general review so you guys don't have to worry about, oh, is Chad getting sponsored by italki? So that way, how do I know if italki's any good? How do I know if this stuff's any good? I'm not getting sponsored for any of these things. These are my honest opinions, and I'm going to give them to you whether these companies like them or not. Now, because this will be just easier for me since I already have them around, I am going to start with the books that I have and have had experience with. After the 5 that I have, we're just going to branch out from there. Now, if you're a long-time watcher of my channel, you know them, you love them. We're starting with the Genki Books 1 and 2. The Genki Books are Japan Times' attempt at cornering the Japanese textbook market, and if I do say so myself, they did a pretty good job at that. If you look at all the beginner market share of books, they and pretty much Mina no Nihongo make up about 80% of it. Alright guys, now we're going to rate everything in this series on 3 factors. The first one is format. Is it intuitive? Can you study it on your own, or do you need someone to walk you through it? Does the format of it hurt your eyes, or is all the information easily found? Number 2, content. How packed is it? How dense is it with delicious Japanese umami goodness? Also, is the content relevant to any sort of tests or real life situations, or is it just textbook Japanese that's kind of BS? And finally, price. Not just on the books or any of the resources that we have, but for the value. So for each new piece of information you get, how much does it cost? Is it free? Does it cost an arm and a foot? Is some more densely packed than others? We'll find out here. So let's start with format, shall we? I really like the way these books are laid out. I've used them both for solo study and in a classroom setting, and it makes it really easy for teachers and tutors or just really driven individuals to subdivide and conquer the material. Each chapter has between 3 and 7 pieces of grammar divided based on difficulty, always building off the previous chapters really, really well without any real straggling thoughts or pieces of vocabulary. The chapters subdivide words into groups of nouns, e and na adjectives, u and ru verbs, which I actually prefer u and ru verbs, like learning it that way as opposed to, what is it, like ichidan or whatever verbs, or form 1 and form 2 verbs. It's too complicated. And then adverbs and adjectives. As for the CDs, sorry, I didn't really use them. I got most of my practice either from tutors or Japanese friends or actually living in Japan, so I didn't really use them, but I have used CDs in other textbooks, and let me just say, I'm not very impressed. You can use them if you want. I just recommend watching Japanese TV on YouTube, but that's just me. The practice work can be a bit tedious for solo work, but in a classroom or with a tutor or a friend or a group, the practices really get people involved and out of their comfort zones. If you guys are gonna end up buying this book, I recommend that you probably don't do it alone necessarily. I think the grammar points really require you to work with someone, even if it's someone of the same level. Just to do the basic conversation work that the book has will help you tremendously. The practice work, however, I feel is lacking a bit in the Genki 1 book, so definitely get the workbook to go with it. The Genki 2 book's practice work for some reason feels fuller to me, but I don't think it's necessarily enough to really understand the material, so maybe get some outside sources. But in general, the fonts are really pleasing to look at. I'm a dum-dum and I went through the book and I could find everything I needed to find. I would give it about an 8 out of 10 on format. On to content. Alrighty, so in Genki 1, you'll learn about 145 kanjis, is what they say, and 172 in Genki 2. I think their method is not very good. It's the write and rewrite to learn stroke order method, and then it gives you onyomis and kunyomis just for the words in the book, which is nice, but I really don't think that's an effective way to learn kanji. You guys truly would be better off getting like a remembering the kanji type textbook for remembering the meanings, learning the readings as you go, and then just kind of skipping the writings to start, because I lived in Japan on and off for 5 years. I didn't have to write jack squat except for in school. And unless you're planning on going to school, I don't really see a point. But that's just me. You guys can crucify me if you want in the comments, it's fine. I get it. It's fine. Whatever. Whip me, daddy. Now, where these books shine is their terms. They give you like 1,700 between the two books. I'm gonna need my phone for this. It's spread between 930 nouns, 360 verbs, 80 e-adjectives, 40 non-adjectives, and 230 adverbs. Yes, I counted. That is a ton of information, and to have it so easily subdivided into chapters based on topics, making sure that every piece builds on the last conversation. For $80 on Amazon new, you can get them, I think, for like 50 or 60 used. That's unfreaking believable. That's a great value. Most language learners would agree that about 70% of really any sort of written or spoken language is the most common 3,000 to 4,000 words. You're well on your way to halfway to that, just at the beginner level, just between two books, that if you do a chapter a week, takes you 23 weeks. Now again, I've studied Japanese on my own, and in class, and in Japan, and let me tell you, everything in these books really are prioritized to the things that you will encounter the first time you meet Japanese people. Not just how to introduce yourself, but like the environments that you'll be put in a new job, at a new school, at a supermarket, putting you in situations where maybe you don't understand and how to get out of it. I know that a lot of beginner textbooks do this, but I can tell you everything that were in these textbooks were unbelievably valuable to me when I first went to Japan. Now, for all you test snobs, I did take the N4 practice because my school, to graduate away from these two textbooks, you have to pass the N4. I think it was the N4 test like 2 years ago, but it's still an N4 test. I passed it with flying colors, basically only studying these and an outside kanji method because I don't like their kanji method very much. So I would say for the bulk of the N4, this probably covers 80% of it. And I think to pass the N4, you only have to get like 50% on all the subjects. So I think in general, minus kanji, these books are more than sufficient for that level. There's even some stuff on the N3 in there, but it's very scattered. I wouldn't ever use these for N3. But I would say they're pretty comprehensive for N4, but definitely get a N4 study guide. So when you finish these books, you can go through and see which pieces of words you learned and highlight them or scratch them off, and which ones you haven't learned, and study those on some sort of spaced repetition app. These books are dense, they're well organized, and I really think that for the value, these are an incredible start to learn the language. If I were to restart right now, if I got bonked on the head and I didn't know Japanese, I would still go right back to these books after everything that I've used. For content, I really give this a 9 out of 10. And for price, I'd give it about a 7 out of 10 because there are free resources, so you can technically get all this information for free, but it's so well organized and it goes so well with the grammar and it goes so well with every facet of learning these beginner phases. I would rather spend the $80 to get both of these books than to use strictly free methods. That means the Genki Books get a total of 8 cringy weeaboo beginner Japanese learners out of 10. That's just my opinion, guys. What do you think about the Genki Books? Do you like them? Have you used them? Do you hate them? Do you think I never used them and this is just a paid advertisement to get you guys to buy books and I'm really just a lizard man hypocrite? Whatever, argue with me in the comments down below. And if you guys liked the video, be sure to actually like it down below. It helps me tremendously. It helps other people find this book. If you know someone who is interested in learning Japanese and they don't really know where to start, this video might be a good place. Or this channel in general. I put out 2 videos every week. Wednesday is like this, kind of. It's videos on Japan, Japanese, the language, the culture, the people, and just general stuff that I like. And every Saturday I do a live stream. I've done St. Patrick's Day root beer drinking contest, but the vast majority are anime nights where my friends come together, we eat food and drink and be merry and meme. We meme hard and we meme well. So yeah, if this is your first time seeing me, welcome to my channel. I hope you stick around and catch you later.